Hey, everybody, welcome to Cars with Cocktails, a show where Charles and I get drunk and talk about car stuff. I haven't even had a drink yet, and I'm stumbling over my words today.
That's how you know it's going to be a good episode. Paul's already flubbing. I love it.
Today, we have a guest, a very special guest, a friend of Charles, and then I guess maybe myself now, Bogi from All Girls Garage.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, Charles, you want to take it away with the honors?
Yeah, I am. It would be my pleasure. Bogi, you said as we were like chit-chatting before that you can speak to anything, and I would just like to comment how on my screen it looks like the streak of your hair perfectly matches the color of the Girl Gang Garage on your sweatshirt.
You like that?
Is that deliberate? Or is it just like a weirdness in my computer monitor?
No, I mean, it's my favorite color. And so as far as I'm concerned, like everything should be that color. So yeah, the fact that my hair and my logo and my shop and really everything is that color. It's
I love it.
It might be verging on obsession.
So Bogi, for the like 4 people that are listening or watching, because damn, based on last week, you out of the three of us are far and away the most notable. Is that the right word though? I don't feel like that's the right word. I mean,
I'm not sure what you're trying to say yet.
Nobody knows what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to get at, geez, I've had like 3 sips and y'all saw what the first sip looked like when I took this. Okay, Bogi, tell everybody the boginess. Who you are, where you're from, or not where you're from, I don't know, and kind of what you got going on. And then tell us about the drink, and that is all I have.
Okay, fair enough.
Who hired this crew? Jeez.
Right? Okay, so really, really quick nutshell version of who I am. My name is Bogi. I was born in New York. Live out in Arizona now. I have been a master technician for about 20 years now. I came up originally on Volkswagen Bugs, which is how I cut my teeth. And I think probably more mechanics I know started out on Volkswagen Bugs than any other car on the planet. I graduated to going to school with BMW. So I was a BMW technician for about 7 years. Then I quit my dealership job, became a shop owner. I started my first repair shop in my driveway, grew it from my driveway to a big shop that I eventually sold about 2 years ago. And I'm missing some things along the way. Oh, and I do a TV show called All Girls Garage. Been doing that for about 10 years now. I also do shop management, coaching, and consulting, working with other shop owners. And now I have my current thing that I have is kind of a shop. It's called Girl Gang Garage. It's not open to the public, but we do, as far as like customer work, but we do all female builds, like really massive scale Sema builds, where we gather women from all over the country to do a complete restoration and modification of a vehicle. And we also teach classes and workshops to introduce more women to the trades. That's my nutshell. Really fast.
Also, I love the decor that you have going on. Your home
Why, thank you.
Beautifully decorated. I see a cabinet there in the mirror reflection. It's wonderful.
This is lovely hotel room decor. Very, very stylish hotel. And by the way, if this were smell-o-vision, you would know that somebody down the hall from us, because it's one of those like hotels that has kitchenette things. So there's like a little stove and a refrigerator. Someone down the hall cooked fish.
Oh,
that's gross.
Bro.
Not cool. Not cool.
Oh man.
Okay. Hotel fish.
Fish. Normally hotels just smell like mad pot. So I can't. Oh.
Right.
Hotel fish.
In a fun like twist of randomness. So y'all may remember like a week or 2 ago, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now, Paul and I were in Florida. We did the Scirocco thing, which the videos will be coming out at some point. In fact, we haven't talked about it really much at all other than here. We were at a shop with Jamie. Jamie was on the podcast too. And he's like, hey, I know your friend Bogi. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like everybody knows Bogi. He's like, no, like we're friends. Like I bring them cars for their show. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Did he
that's
tell you how
fucking
we
cool.
met?
I assume it was like we met him on TikTok.
No, he was a student in one of my shop management classes
Oh, really?
years and years and years ago. Yeah.
That's
That's
super
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, he's a good seed for sure. He's a good one.
He is a good dude. Yeah.
Tell us about the drink that you chose.
All right.
Oh, this is I think our third week in a row of this, by the way.
We were drinking whiskey
Nice.
3 weeks in a row.
Drinking whiskey. That's the only thing to drink. Whiskey is like the nectar of gods.
Charles and I are probably the biggest sissies when it comes to drinking whiskey.
I just consider myself that all the time with most things.
No.
But yeah, I
What kind of whiskey are you drinking?
So I'm gonna let Paul go first.
Okay. So
this is so like such a
Okay,
duality here.
this is weird. Okay, so I have some very fancy whiskey that was gifted to me.
Ooh.
It's some very special edition Jack Daniel's 1981 gold medal.
Okay.
The first time I tried this, Charles and I actually Charles was here. We were working on a project and we tried it together. So he's actually had it. And I find it to be one of the few palatable whiskeys, but it's like $600 a bottle. So
Oh my gosh.
it's not normal for me to be drinking whiskey this expensive. It just so happens that I was gifted this, and
Fancy pants.
I can't drink normal whiskey because I'm too much of a Nancy. So
you are bougie as fuck, bro.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Oh, by the way, little pause. Foul language warning, because we have forgotten to warn about foul language. There may or may not be some, as you probably just heard. Also, Bogi, if you want to swear, let the shop filter,
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that's what I'm talking about. So I am drinking what I had last week, which is Jefferson's Reserve, very old Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, very small batch. It's not bad. I gotta say, like,
I like Jefferson.
it's not bad. I don't think a whiskey would be what I would just like, oh, I want something to drink, and I would choose that. But once I got past that first,
I was say, once you choke a little bit first.
yeah, once I'm like, then it's like, oh, it's good. It's good.
I am not drinking my first choice of whiskeys, but I am in a hotel room. And so I was limited by what the wine liquor place had in small bottles, because I wasn't going to buy like a big thing. So I've got Woodford Reserve double barrel something in this like cute little bottle.
Mm-hmm.
You said small bottle. I expected an airplane bottle.
I 100% expecting
not a full-size bottle of liquor.
This is not a full-size bottle. It's a little one.
It is little. Yes, it's
smaller
little than a normal one, but I was expecting airplane as well, and maybe our definition of.
Well, I have my happy hour this week too while I'm out here, so I've got to do that, and so I figured 2 nights worth of. I figured it'd be all right.
Hey. Do you?
I don't know.
That's what I say. Do you? So you mentioned Sema builds. I think my thoughts are, did you guys do a build for last year that wasn't shown at Sema?
We did not. So we had a vehicle that was supposed to go to last year's Sema, but because of the nature of the builds that I do, I organize women from all over the country to come in. They're both professionals and newbies and hobbyists and like the whole gamut, full range of experience, but they come from all over the country to come out for a weekend or a week or whatever the case may be. And clearly during COVID, we weren't going to do that. So while we were originally planning, we'd started the build in January and February of 2020. And then March obviously came to a screeching halt. We talked to our main sponsor. We were supposed to be in the BASF booth, and we talked to them and we're like, this is clearly not going to get done. Even if SEMA does happen, we're not going to have a vehicle there. So we've just started that vehicle back up again, like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 months ago. So it is now supposed to go this year.
Now, do you guys talk about all your project as you're going through it, or you wait to disclose it then?
Oh no, I can totally talk about it. We've got stuff all up on social about it and videos and whatnot. But yeah, it's a 1961 Volvo PV544, totally oddball car, which I love. I like doing the goofy cars. And we're going to do some pretty crazy stuff to the drivetrain on it. That part I can't disclose yet. You got to stay tuned for that.
That's cool. And do you guys, obviously your background's not in body.
No.
Do you do body work too?
I do now. Yeah. So the first all female build that I organized was one of those, like, I had this crazy idea. I committed to it on a national stage, and then I had to actually make it happen. And I had no idea what I was doing. And that's kind of what I do. I'm like, this is a really awesome idea. I'm going to commit to it. Crap. I don't know how to do this. All right, we're gonna figure it out, right?
No, that's how you thrive, right? Like
right, open mouth, insert foot, yeah. Proceed to dance. That's kind of what I do. So, yeah, I had no idea. I'd never done body work. I'd moderately done welding. I'd never painted. I'd never done metal fabrication. I'd never done any of those things. So during the first all-female build, the Chevy Montage, it was a massively steep learning curve because I was having to learn all of this stuff, and then all the pros would come in and teach me the stuff that they knew, and then I had to turn around and teach it to the newbies and the hobbyists like right away. So while I started to learn how to do everything intellectually, I didn't necessarily know how to do it, but I understood it. And so then the second build, I got to be really, really hands-on and improve my skills on all of that. And now I've become a pretty, I wouldn't say proficient. I'm still a newbie in the grand scheme of things, but doing a ton of custom metal work and body work and stuff that I never in a million years thought I'd do. And quite frankly, like, I know this is like a lot of mechanic folks who watch this, and you guys are both mechanics, and I grew up as a mechanic, but if I'd been exposed to metal work when I was younger, I might've gone down that path. Like, it is so much fun. It is so much fun.
Well, it's artistic, way more artistic, right?
Yeah. And there's just something like, I've always been really big into that whole idea of like taking something that's nothing and making it into something, right? Like seeing that transformation process. And I loved fixing cars because it gave me that I took something broken and I made it fixed, but it wasn't quite the same level of, I took a pile of nothingness and I made it into this thing, right? Like, so there's a different level of satisfaction there, but I'm kind of becoming a jack of all trades and a master of none. But you know, it's all right. It's fun.
So this is all female. Jesus, I am
hammered.
Smash drunk.
I know, lightweight. Jeez.
Force. Well, I drink one time a week during the show. So yeah, it's not drunk. I'm just an idiot. This is all female build number 3 or 4 with
3.
the Volvo. Okay.
3.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. And I have had the pleasure of being at that shop. I wouldn't call it a pleasure of being at that shop, a month before SEMA, because that shit was chaotic as fuck. And
it's insane. SEMA Crunch, man. But you were the savior. You brought us donuts.
Dude, whenever you're like going somewhere where you probably shouldn't really be there, just bring food and then everybody likes you and it's fine. I was well welcomed. I don't mean like I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have been in the way is what I'm trying to say. I feel like I'm just going to sit back and shut up now. Holy cow. So
this is amazing to watch. This is like watching a train going off the tracks. It's fantastic.
And not letting off the throttle, baby. Just
I love it. I'm like,
keep the fucking hammer down.
Yeah.
Keep the fucking hammer down. Yeah. I tell you.
It'll get back on the tracks at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or maybe not.
Death, whatever.
Yeah.
That's how I fucking roll. So what I don't even know where I was going with that.
That you were at the shop, you saw the build.
Yeah, I don't know if I had anything beyond that.
I have a question.
I wanted to name drop that I was there is what it was, so
question.
People thought I was fancy.
You are fancy.
The process you have for getting amateurs involved, I find that made my ears perk up as soon as I heard like amateurs getting involved in a SEMA build. Like, I know what SEMA builds are. They're usually ridiculously ambitious. I think most people underestimate what SEMA is like because it's so like there's so many cars there that are so over the top that nothing really seems that impressive because everything is so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So explain to me the process of how amateurs get involved in that. The logistics seemed like a fucking nightmare, number one.
It can be. But
on the next step, how does that even happen?
So it's really organic, right? So the word about the all female builds is kind of just spread very organically through social media and word of mouth. And really our only requirements for somebody wanting to participate is that you raise your hand and you're willing to come and work with people and be willing to learn and get dirty and get outside of your comfort zone. And the intention behind them from the get-go was kind of threefold. So one, create an opportunity for women who were professionals in the trades to get together, to connect with one another, to meet each other. Because most of us, we're often the only woman who's ever worked at the shop we work at. We're often the only person we know in person, right? Or like we've never worked with another woman. So to create opportunities for women to connect in real life, not just on social media, and get that community and sense of connection and validation and affirmation was a really big piece of it. The second piece was to create opportunities for women to explore the trades. So women don't often in their daily lives, like Jane Doe growing up in the suburbs somewhere, like doesn't normally get the opportunity to try a welder and see if they like it, or pick up a wrench and see if they like it, or, whatever the case may be. So we wanted to create really low barrier of entry opportunities for women to explore the trades and see if it was something that they liked. And then the third was to just really create conversation about women in the trades and say, hey, like on a Sema stage, look at what women can create. There are women in this industry who are thriving. And when we work together, when we collaborate, look what can happen. And to maybe influence some shop owners out there and some other folks in the industry out there to give women a chance, because there's still far too many shops that will flat out say that they'll never hire a woman. So that's really what that's all about. So from a logistics standpoint, I'm rambling, I'm sorry, but
I feel so much better all of a sudden. That no, just happened. Thank you.
By the way, she's doing way less rambling than what you just did.
I know, but give me one little tiny attaboy. I'll pat myself on the back. Thank you.
So the logistics are insane. Because it's never the same group of people, right? Like each weekday, each weekend, it's a totally different crew of folks. And I have to be really like good at flowing with and taking somebody who may come in and say, I've never used a ratchet before, I don't know what it is, as well as somebody who maybe has 15, 20 years of experience, and be able to quickly assess like who can do what, how I can teach them best, what I can put them on that's going to give them confidence. It's a crazy dance. It's exhausting, but it is totally a labor of love. And as much as it drains me and exhausts me to do them, I love them so much. But yeah, logistically, it's crazy town. It really is. I'm teaching people how to weld and teaching people how to use a grinder and a cutoff tool, and then letting them loose on the car and be like, here, grind these welds. There's 15 more patches that you get to practice on if you didn't do a good job on the first one. And at the same time, be cool with them when they mess up and be like, it's cool. Like there are no mistakes. If you screw it up that badly, we cut it out and we put another patch panel in. This is how we learn. So it's a lot, but it's really cool too.
That's cool. No, I mean, I like that. I mean, certainly learning under those conditions are ideal. Most people don't have that opportunity, and the fact that you're creating it is great. I mean, I think that's awesome. I can't imagine the logistics behind even the figuring out people who can contribute plus, and then who needs to be spent a lot of time with to teach that in and of itself, because the scale is so huge.
Yeah.
To me, is that I think that's your biggest challenge, is like, hey, this person I can just set loose and say, hey, go do. Yeah. This person I need to be with every step of the way for even the most basic task.
Totally. Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. And the other part is like, sometimes we'll even get professionals in who want to come during a time when it's not their main profession. Right. A body girl who wants to come during mechanical work, or a welder that wants to be involved with body work. So they may be really proficient at what they do, but not so much at what they're coming to play with and learn. So Yeah, it's a lot of thinking really fast and being on my toes and.
That's cool. I mean, for me, if I was somebody who would want to get involved with like that, I would probably not be particularly interested. I'm sure Charles would probably feel the same way. I'm not really super interested in doing things I already know. Like,
Right.
I already kind of know all that stuff. Like, yeah, I'm not perfect and I'm certainly not the best, but I'm definitely, to be clear, I'm not even a real technician.
Our weekly disclaimer.
You
I,
just play one on TV.
I only play one on YouTube. That is, I am a used to be technician. That is a very far in the rear view used to be. Just to be clear,
You're not old enough to have anything that far in the rear view.
I mean, I'm not that young. People on YouTube tell me all the time now.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a video actually. Somebody posted a picture of Charles and I. And,
oh my God, dude, you looked 12 in that picture.
I had somebody that from about that time frame, about a few months ago, who was like, they commented on a video that is about 7 years old, and they said, "What happened to him?" And
ouch!
And I was like, "Oh Jesus, I thought I was aging." Okay, until just this very second, just right now.
That's horrible.
Well, that's that. Welcome to the internet. That's what
I know, right?
Yeah. I feel like that was a little heavy-handed, though, Paul. Wait, talking with Bogi, and the fucking gutter trash that women deal with.
Wow,
on the fucking internet.
Women have a different level. I mean, the shit that obviously. You have a show with Faye. She's involved with All Girls Garage. She's also a friend of yours. She's also a friend of ours. And the stuff that I see that she gets is some fucking next level shit that I'm like, the stuff that women get online is so much different than the stuff that dudes get. Like I get plenty of vitriol, but it's like a tiny fraction of a percentage in terms of like the grand scheme of things, whereas I feel like women, it's like 30%.
It's interesting. It's changed quite a bit for me recently, and in the last couple of years, like when I first started out in the industry, I got a ton of like the crap kind of. Obviously, social media wasn't a thing when I first started in the industry, so I didn't get it from a social media perspective, but like in real life, I got a ton of the negativity and a ton of the chauvinism and the questioning and the you don't belong here and like straight up sexism and awfulness. And then I started my shop, and my shop was all female. And so nobody was coming to my shop unless they were cool with us being all female.
It's self-selected, right?
Right. So I had this like great little bubble where I was protected from it. And then I started doing All Girls Garage, and I was suddenly thrown back into this like abyss of people's awful comments and the things that we would get criticized for. Like, it was never about our technical skill, right? Like people saying that I was too fat to be on TV. I wasn't pretty enough to be on TV. And I'm like, what does any of that have to do with my ability to diagnose a vehicle, right? But it's interesting. Over the last several years, I don't attract the same kind of awful crap that I've seen some of the other ladies get, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. Incredibly grateful. Like, my demographic is a lot of like dads and grandfathers who are like, I just love what you're doing, and my daughter watches your show, and my granddaughter, and it's like this wholesome awesomeness that I'm so grateful for. Like, I don't get the dick pics and the I don't get that, and I mean a handful of times I do, but it's definitely not it's not the norm.
You better brace yourself, because they are incoming.
Oh my god.
The floodgates are open. So you don't attract as many chads as
No, and I'm grateful for it. Maybe it's because I'm getting older now. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm not like and I just don't attract that. Thank you to whatever force there may be up there. I think thankful for that.
It's an interesting dynamic. And one that I certainly I think it's tough. And even I've said this before. I don't know if I've said it publicly before, but I think Charles and I probably talked about this. Is for me personally, now I'm approaching 40, but I don't think I could be somebody in my early 20s who had the self-esteem to just get shit on the way you do when you are on the internet and you're out there publicly, that I could have probably handled it very well then that I did when, many, many years later, once I was much older, when we started making content. And you can take the criticism. It still obviously still sometimes affects you, but generally not as much, because you just know who you are more. But I don't think for people who do it when they're real young, I'm just impressed that they even manage it at all.
Yeah, it's a different world. I mean, I didn't grow up with social media. I didn't know this world, right? It didn't exist. So, but now kids these days, like there's 8-year-olds producing better video content than I do. It's a different world. They're growing up with it. So I do wonder what that experience is like for them, whether they grow with thicker skin or whether it's incredibly traumatic for them. Cause I don't know about you guys, but teen years were not my favorite years. They're traumatic by themselves, let alone doing it online.
No doubt, dude. F that noise. I'm thankful that I didn't have any of that bullshit, in my younger years. So you mentioned starting on the All Girls Garage show and which is super rad. So you've lived kind of both of the lives of, I'm a real technician and I actually fix cars. Not to say that you don't actually fix cars on TV. So bear with me before I say something really fucking dumb.
He's drinking, guys. Mantra. Be gentle with him.
No, look. Okay, look. I have had like 7 sips of this. I am just an idiot.
On, dude.
You gotta get your game on. Look at that.
Yeah. And both of you with ice like wimps. Come on, straight up.
Hey, listen, I told you that I'm a Nancy. I said that from the onset, and I wear it like a badge of honor.
Do you want to see what my other drink is? It's water, ice water, in a sparkly pink cup with a green lid and a yellow straw.
Very pretty.
So,
very
run and tell that. Back to what I was trying to say. So we watch, and I think Paul get it, and I get it a lot too, where you produce this piece of content and someone watches it and they're like, dude, you make it look so easy. And you're like, well, yeah, it's really easy. Or it's like, well, yeah, this shit's hard. You didn't see the 7 fucking hours of video footage that got put on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Because I didn't show you the 15 times I fucked it up.
Yeah. Or it's boring as fuck. I mean,
right.
On occasion, our content is probably a little different than Charles, especially in the more later years, because I have a videographer who he'll be there capturing it and capture me struggling and sucking shit while I'm doing something. And then it gets into the video, but in a very cut way, so that it's like, you get to see a little bit of the struggle and the frustration and not as much. But a lot of times, for the sake of brevity, you can't show how much something sucks, because it just you'll be bored out of your mind.
Well, totally. I mean, that always cracked me up, because especially in the beginning years of All Girls Garage, but one of the most common complaints that we would get from people is, I don't think you guys are real mechanics. You never show any actual work. It's just all of a sudden it's done. And I'm like, all right. So first of all, it's the same thing with guys' automotive TV shows, but I don't see you criticizing them, first of all. Second of all, it's a 22-minute TV show. How much can we actually show you of the actual work that we're doing? Because in reality, if we show you the actual work for 22 minutes, you're going to watch me removing bolts. Just ratcheting the bolt. Be like, yep, this is a really long bolt. Yep. Still fighting these threads on this bolt. Yep. Like, that's not interesting television. So yeah, we trim a lot of stuff out because it's just not interesting.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, and I'm curious. So Charles and I just did a series about engine swap. We built an engine, shipped it to Florida, picked up a car, drove it to Florida, engine swapped it, drove it back. It was a complete clusterfuck, and it's probably going to be
to say that is a complete clusterfuck.
It's a completely.
Is that being nice?
It is being so nice.
It doesn't even begin to demonstrate. Again, we said towards the end of this video series that we were shooting, so many things went wrong that it will appear like we fabricated all the things that went wrong, because that's how many things went wrong.
That's amazing. I love it.
But my point was with that is that's going to be a video series that we shot over the course of 5 days. We worked 19 hours a day for 5 days straight. And we probably will make on our side, we're gonna be making a variety of videos between Charles and I about it, but ours is gonna be the longer version. It's probably gonna be 3 or 4 episodes, probably 20 minutes each. So
Right.
you're talking about 100 hours is gonna be condensed down to
An
what?
hour.
An
Hour and 20
hour,
minutes.
Totally.
yeah, hour and 20.
Yeah.
And that's an intense 5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually it's more than 5 days because we built it.
It was like 12 cluster fucking.
Well, and you guys have the, like, it's a different setup, right? Because you're doing these projects for real, right? And you have these ridiculous timelines that you put yourselves under. But you do it to yourselves. So I guess I don't have that much empathy for that.
We aren't looking for empathy, by the way. This was 100% self-induced dipshittery on our part.
But there's an interesting kind of differentiation, like, because on All Girls Garage, like, we're not a shop, right? Like, All Girls Garage is filmed in a studio.
Right.
And so realistically, Faye and I both come from different parts of the country. We fly out for a week. We film 3 episodes in a week, right? And so we have to get this stuff done like fast. And so there's the reality of like trying to get things done, trying to film it for TV, doing all of the, like, it's just such a different game than working on a car in real life. Like, we've got people on hand to help because just realistically, we can't, right? Like, there's no way to do all of the things in that short amount of time.
3 episodes of shooting and accomplishing anything of substance.
Yeah.
Is difficult.
Totally. So it's an interesting thing. And then, as you guys totally know, there's just all of the levels of stuff when you're filming something versus when you're just doing something. Like, when I'm just tearing into a car, I become like the biggest flat rate whore. I'm like, let's go. I'm listening to death metal. I am like banging it out. I am making it happen. I'm going fast. And then you do it for a camera, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna remove this muffler once to figure out how it comes out. Then I'm gonna remove it again to show the camera guy where he should be. Then I'm gonna take it out again because there was a plane going overhead when we were recording. And then I'm gonna take it out again because I forgot what I was gonna say. And then I'm gonna take it out again because I said it wrong.
Yep.
And I'm gonna take it out again because there's an audio problem. By the end of it, your arms want to fall out because you've lifted this muffler up and down 14 times.
You're a muffler expert, though. And I get this question a lot too, Bogi, and I'm sure you get it as well. Hey, I've seen your videos or whatever, right? I'm thinking about becoming a mechanic. And like, when they're young, I'm all on board. The ones that I get a little worried about, where they're kind of like mid-career and they've done a lot of DIY stuff, so they feel like they're proficient at doing the jobs, like changing their oil or an air filter or brakes or whatever, which, right, that's how most all of us got started before we worked on cars, is stuff like that. But I always have to like kind of right their ship in that, like, look, dude, doing that shit in your driveway is way fucking different than punching the clock and doing that shit for a customer on multiple levels.
Totally.
And it's the same way with filming, right? Like, I didn't show the fucking 12 hours of cleaning nonsense that I did on that crap. All to have something go fucking sideways on it, because that's my life now. Everything just turns. I have a busted cover over here somewhere that's haunting me still.
No, it's true though. But I think that's a symptom, not just of our industry. I think that's kind of like a global thing. It's that grass is greener thing. Like, that other thing over there looks like it's so much better than what I'm doing. So I want to do that. Right. And I don't discourage people from doing it. You want to become a technician? Like, that's awesome. I encourage it. I also encourage people to go into things eyes wide open and know what it's all about. Right. Like, you saying that reminded me kind of how I feel about how, like, the 99% of technicians that I speak to who are like, I'm going to open up my own shop. That's a very different experience than what you think it is, right? Like, just because you're a great technician does not mean you're going to be a great shop owner. And but it's when you're a tech or when you're a DIYer or whatever you are, right? Like, you see the world through your little lens, and you only know that, and that other thing looks like it's so easy, right? Like when you're a technician, you're like, the shop owner's rolling in money and has all this freedom, and I'm the one making all the money for them, so I'm going to start my own shop. It's like, that's not really what being a shop owner looks like, really.
Good luck, my friend.
Right?
Good luck.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a conversation we have all had
Yes.
together separately many times. And I mean, and Bogi, you know me, I'm the first one to be like, fucking do it. Hell yes.
Totally.
Like I will be the biggest cheerleader for someone.
totally. But be eyes wide open about it.
Right. Yeah. Don't do
Know
what I
what you're
do
getting
and do it, like try and do it and then go, oh, there was a lot of shit that I'm stupid and never thought to think of. So now I'm here shoveling all the water out of my boat as it's sinking and trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing.
The way I see it is if somebody works for me and they flat out tell me they want to open their own shop, okay, cool. But if you want to do that, learn everything you can from me. I don't give a shit if you want to do it, but I promise you this, you have no idea what it's like. And obviously shop is only a part of what we do. I have a warehouse business for Volkswagen Audi parts. If obviously Charles knows and the audience knows, but Bogi, yeah, just for you. So I have two separate businesses that kind of dovetail together a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but if you think you can do it, I'm more than welcome. I mean, I think the biggest challenge that most people have, God bless you, is most people have no idea even how to get feet coming through the door, which everybody completely overestimates what that even means, because like, good luck. You could be the best tech in the world. Good luck getting people to know who the fuck you are.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, the customer they don't know the difference between a good technician and a bad technician.
Zero.
Right. What they remember is not that you diagnosed this incredibly difficult thing. They remember how you treated them and how they felt in your shop. And so it has so little to do with being a good technician, right? Like it really is about so much more. And I agree with you. Like when I had technicians working for me or any of my employees, I always said, and I told them this freely, if you leave working for me to go do something amazing with your life, I'm going to cheer you on. If you leave working for me to go work in a call center or like, do something where you're miserable, I'm going to feel like a horrible failure, right? So if you want to go open a shop, I'm going to cheer you on. I think that's awesome. But I'm also going to encourage you to, if you're a technician, spend 6 months being a service advisor. If you're a service advisor, like go apprentice out in the shop, like learn the different roles and the different positions. Follow me for a couple of months and learn the bookkeeping and all of the rest of the crap that you've got to do, the marketing, all of the things, all of the millions of hats that we have to wear as shop owners. So yeah, learn all the things because you're gonna have to do all of them.
Yeah, the thing that for me that I think was most important is so my background's in dealerships. The thing that made it possible for me to start my own business was I had already created a successful business for the dealer I worked at in e-commerce before I left. So it's like a lot of people talk to me who know me personally, and they would be like, "Oh man, that was a really big risk." They're like, "Not really. I fucking did it already." So like, it's very different. It's like, okay, if you were, let's say, somebody who is a tech who started a separate branch of a brand and you bootstrapped it up from nothing in a city where they had no following, okay, cool. You're somebody who's ready to start your own shop. Outside of that, you have no idea what the hell it takes to start your own shop.
Yeah.
And which is fine. I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I think, be grounded in reality a little bit.
Yeah. And it's funny though, because I'll also play devil's advocate and say that there's something about the naivety of it. Because I did not know what I was getting to. I was that technician who was like, I can do it better than this stupid dealership, right? and I quit my job with no business plan and $200 to my name and not a damn clue what I was doing. Like I had no business being a business owner. And that naivete was kind of like, I think what it worked in my favor, right? Like I didn't know what I was getting into. All I knew was that I had to figure out a way to be successful and make it happen. But I also feel like I learned the lessons the hard way. And if I can help other people not learn them the hard and painful way, then that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, pressure creates diamonds, right? So
Totally.
sometimes it creates diamonds, sometimes it squashes you like a bug. Most people, the bug.
Most people are definitely the bug. And look, like, I think we can all be very honest. The nature of the average technician exists in a realm to fucking complain about everything, no matter what.
What?
So
The
yeah, I
average
know.
human. It's not just
I
technicians.
know.
The average human being.
Is it
I
though?
think
Really?
the percentage
I
of
think
technicians
so.
is like
I-
a
here-
smidge
okay.
higher.
Okay, so I'll
because-
I'll give you that people complain a lot. That's true on average, but
Yeah, facts.
technicians are there. Like, if we were to talk about like how many rungs above the average complainer they are, would you say-
12, 35,
would you say
87?
1,000?
Oh,
I think
come on.
1,000.
You guys are such haters.
No. This comes from pure experience. It comes from myself too. Like, I existed in my career as that technician that did bitch about everything. Good jobs come in. Fuck, I'm tired of doing these boring good jobs that make me all this money. Shit jobs come in. Damn it, tired of getting screwed. Tired of getting all the shit work. So like, I say this from a place that I've lived is why I'm very confident and comfortable fucking talking shit to technicians, because dudes, y'all.
I feel like you might have actually proven your point, because both of you are actually currently complaining about how much technicians are complainers.
Oh,
and so
100%.
therefore proving your own point.
100%. Absolutely. Listen, used to be a technician. I'm still complaining just now.
And I'm like the odd duck who's like this like optimistic, eternally finding the cheery things in life, rose-colored glasses all day long.
Listen, we need positivity every now and again, but we stick with the complaining for now.
All right.
It's getting it done.
Cheers to that.
us
Drink
today.
up.
Indeed.
Indeed. Charles,
You can do it, Charles.
Not gonna
I'm a little
chug
bit
it.
offended
Jeez.
for your whiskey, Paul, that you're drinking a $600 bottle of whiskey with ice in it.
well, I told you.
I shed a tear.
I mean, I when we tried this, we gave a full disclaimer. There are definitely people, I don't know, they never commented that I saw, but they're gonna be pissed at us. I knew it. I knew
this
it.
is wasted on such gutter
Yes.
trash as Paul
Yes.
and I.
Gutter trash idiots who couldn't tell a
Oh.
good here. But I will say this: the thing about good whiskey that I do like is it's palatable. I find it to be overall pleasant to drink. Regular whiskey I find to be very difficult to drink, and it's not
What do you consider regular whiskey? Like the super cheap stuff?
No. Like even like what you're drinking tonight. I know people who are into that whiskey. Woodford Reserve, right?
Woodford. Yeah, it's moderate. It's not my fave.
I know it's not like awesome, but I know it's supposedly like a decent whiskey, right?
Yeah.
And people have mentioned the one that Charles has. They said that they commented.
Jefferson's good.
That was pretty good. I've not had that one, but I suspect it's going to be similar in terms of like harshness,
right,
to Woodford. I would guess. I don't know.
Jefferson's smoother, I think, but you know, it's like tequila, right? Like I cannot stand cheap tequila, and cheap tequila like ruined me for tequila in general. Like I won't touch the stuff, right. but I know that the more expensive stuff is way smoother and way different. It's like a totally different thing.
Right. Obviously that's why that exists, right? It's like people are like, oh, why would you spend this much money to fix a car? You know, we're in the European space. Like, why would you spend this much money to fix a car? It's like, okay, well, why doesn't everybody just drive the cheapest Kia you could possibly buy? Because maybe there's more to driving than just getting you from point A to point B.
Well, yeah. And even though the repairs might be more expensive, they're less frequent in theory.
I like your optimism. I love it. Your optimism.
I do kind of feel like that.
I don't know if that's optimism or delusional.
No, I think there's some
Are you fucking high right now?
Yeah.
I feel like there's some truth to it. Like the cheaper cars, the parts are cheap, but they're meant to fail sooner. Like they don't last as long, so you're going to do repairs more often. The more expensive cars, you have less frequent repairs, but when they go bad big. And then there's like the middle of the road cars, like the Toyotas and the Hondas that are neither super expensive nor super cheap. And they have the good balance of longevity and cost of repair.
My perspective is that cars like Toyota, Honda, they generally are lag in innovation, but it
Correct.
allows them to create a lot more reliability because they don't
Yes.
innovate, they don't make a lot of changes, they're not at the cutting edge
Totally.
oftentimes with their average vehicle, and so it often leads to very solid cars because it's very tried and true.
Right. Versus you take a BMW or a Mercedes or
right.
like who are constantly trying to be the first to bring a
Right.
thing to the market. And of course, it inevitably, like, never buy the first year a car is out because they haven't worked out the kinks yet, right? Like,
Good advice. It's always good advice.
That's facts. It blows my mind that people will buy the first like of a brand new car,
Yeah.
and be pissed off when it's not perfect. Like, bro.
Yeah, you knew
That
what you were
shit's
getting
brand
into.
fucking
You bought the
new.
first edition. No, yeah, I don't do that. Nope, let somebody else. I'm not an early adopter. I will freely admit that. I am not the first person to buy the next iPhone. I'm not the first person to buy whatever new fancy model. I'm gonna wait till you work those kinks out.
Get the depreciation out too.
Truth.
Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely think that there's a lot of challenges to that. The general philosophy with the cheap versus expensive, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one.
There is someone that stopped watching this 25 minutes ago that had they stayed around, it would be their time to shine with a fucking spreadsheet and all the research data. Like that, honestly, that shit would be like a really cool collegiate level project to research on cars. Not something I'm going to do. Not something I'm smart enough to do or give a fuck enough about to do.
It would be
But
interesting.
Cool. It'd be super cool.
The challenge that I would find with that is that most people who are interested or willing to do something like that are not they don't have the automotive experience to actually have the deep understanding, because someone like me or you, or my guess is you, Bogi, I don't know you well enough to know for sure yet, but I would want to stick an ice pick through my eye before I put spreadsheets together of fucking failures and costs related to it. I would kill myself.
So I'm actually a total nerd in that way. My father is a statistician.
Oh, okay. Then maybe that's right up your alley.
Right. So it's weird. Like, I hate it and I love it at the same time. Like, I hate doing bookkeeping work. It is the bane of my existence. Doing accounting and bookkeeping. I want to stab an ice pick through my eye. And yet, at the same time, I'm also that a-hole who will sit there and search for the 3 cents that I'm off instead of just writing it off. I'm like, I've got to find it. I think it's that statistician in me that I do totally geek out on a good Excel spreadsheet. And yeah.
So I have the solution. Someone else does the work. Then we get to evaluate it and talk shit about it. And tell them why they're wrong, no matter what the results are.
I like that. I love it. I love it so much.
All right. We're putting out an open call. Whoever's watching this, we are interested in this research data. If you're willing to put it together, we want to see it from you.
Provide us with it. We will shit all over it. Guaranteed.
I won't. They might.
I will.
No might. I will.
I 100% will. There's no chance.
Even if they support you, even if their results are supporting your beliefs, you're still going to shit on them.
I am.
That's just the kind of guy you are.
That is not my worldview. I do not believe like that. I am not religious in the sense of automotive or otherwise. So I'm not going to believe anything. I'm going to shit on it all. Okay?
It's all fucking garbage. All cars suck. They're all
bullshit.
Pieces of shit.
Yeah.
All customers are terrible.
All right.
Facts on facts.
All customers, in my opinion, most customers, we actually have a lot of very good customers. So
customers are mostly awesome.
I also fully agree with that.
I feel like the one thing that happens with customers that I try to help my customer service people, I think Charles and I may have talked about this before, is you get too jaded with too many assholes because you deal with asshole after asshole, and you forget that, like, hey, all the cool people, you just did what you need to do for them, and then now they're gone.
Right.
And the assholes piled up on top of each other.
I don't know. I feel, and maybe a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but I feel like nobody, well, there's a small percentage who do, but for the vast majority, no customer wakes up in the morning and is like, I'm going to be an a-hole. I'm going to be a royal pain in the ass to this shop that I'm bringing my car into. Like, I think it happens because of customer service. It happens because of communication problems. Like, if we fail to communicate properly with our customers, it creates those situations.
No doubt. Yeah.
And if we fail to acknowledge as a shop or as a service provider or as a customer service rep, if we fail to acknowledge that most of our customers, if they don't already have a relationship with us and they haven't learned to trust us, they're walking into a shop with their fists clenched, because the automotive industry has such a shitty reputation that they're walking in with the like, don't fucking take advantage of me, right? And if we don't do something to dispel that and put them at ease, then they're gonna be shitty customers. But that's all on us to
100% agree.
To handle that.
100% agree.
I agree.
We create the majority of the problems in the automotive industry by just being shitty at communicating. We also tend to forget, like, there's other shit that people got going on, and like,
totally,
maybe they ran over their cat on the way to fucking get their car fixed, so they're having a fucked up day, right? And
totally.
You know, it's so good, even though it drives me insane. Like, there were times throughout my career where I would have a shitty experience with whatever, right, at a restaurant or whatever, and it was such a good reminder that, like, getting shit on or shitty treatment fucking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like it. And if I don't do my job correctly, someone's gonna feel the way I feel about this fucking asshole waiter that's about to get his teeth knocked out. I'm not really like violent like that. Just to clarify, like,
just in your mind.
Yeah, like I've fucking knocked 87 of his teeth out already. I'm not, even there. Like, I'm not there. I'll just be like a little catty about it. But like, I never want someone to leave my place of business after I've done a transaction with them feeling like, fuck that guy, I'd like to knock his teeth out. Like, you want to punch the manufacturer out? Hell yeah. Fucking pissed off at your car? Fuck yeah, I am too. It's a pile of shit. I'm mad too. Let's punch it together. It's me and you against
your car, dude. It's me and you against your car.
The amount of fucking times I say that exact shit and give you credit for it, like 7% of the time, because I do forget sometimes. I try to give you as much as I can. I love that because it's so true. So true.
Yeah.
Love it.
It really is. But I could go on about that for hours. I teach an 8-hour class on this shit. Like, I love this.
Communication for sure. I mean, oftentimes, many a times that we've had issues at our shop, I would say our advisor that is very solid. He has a lot of experience, but it seems like most of the time when we have issues, it's because of the lack of recognition of what the expectation is on the customer side, or the need to communicate something, because they don't quite understand this thing that we need to do a better job communicating, and we don't do that as well as we should, and it leaves this expectation. And I'm fortunate, because the benefit that we have is that I have so much content out there that exists online. We have a lot of trust built in automatically.
Yeah.
And so that's, a blessing and a curse, to be
totally
fair. But most of the time it's a blessing, because most people walk in the door just accepting that we're going to do right by them.
Right.
Now there's plenty of people who've never heard of any of the content we've ever created. We're just regular people who just want to get their car fixed or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I agree, except for the fact you said that their fists are clenched. I don't know if it's their fists.
Well, and that's, I say that like kind of metaphorically. It's like so many customers, and I think particularly women, have this experience of auto repair shops and this stereotype of repair shops that it is going to be a horrible, awful experience. They're going to be treated poorly. They're going to be disrespected. They're going to be ripped off. They're going to be lied to. They're going to be cheated. And so they're scared. They've got all of this baggage, and whether it comes out in fists clenched, or whether it comes out in however it manifests, there's this like, don't take advantage of me mindset that they're already walking in with, unless they already know you and they have a relationship with you on some level, right? Or already have some built-in trust through a referral or through whatever.
I was setting up that joke to go somewhere else with it. Then you brought up women, and I was like, man, I can't touch the clench part with women.
Sorry, I screwed that up for you.
But no, I actually agree. I mean, I think Charles and I, funny enough, have talked about this in general. And I think women, of course, feel more on edge or more alert and more worried about being taken advantage of. I think if most guys are honest, because let's be honest, most guys don't know dick about cars. They don't know what they're talking about. They pretend like they know what they're talking about, but they don't know anything. But women tend to be more on edge, which understandably so, because I think I've seen women, and ironically, I remember the biggest offender of this at the dealership that I had, and I think Charles and I didn't talk about this at the time, but the biggest offender we had for complaints from women was a woman who was an advisor, because she took for granted so much shit, and she kind of like talked down to women more than a guy would, because she wasn't like into that thing. Although the stupidest thing I've ever heard said, which I told him before we discussed in the past, was from a guy who said to a customer, it's complicated, you wouldn't understand it.
Oh God.
Oh, you'd be surprised how often I've heard that. Maybe I should just call your husband.
Yeah, it's like
and talk to him about it.
If I were you, I feel like I would say, well, he's dead, so now what? Just like throw out the most awful shit you could think of, just to really fucking derail their ass for being a fucking stupid piece of shit.
No, it's crazy how much of that still exists. But you're totally right, Paul. I believe like both men and women don't know anything about cars these days, as far as the average consumer goes. And I think men are just as likely to be taken advantage of or feel vulnerable to that. And I'll never forget when I first started my repair shop 13 years ago. It's been 2 years since I sold it, so 15 years ago. When I first started it out, I had way more male customers than I had anticipated I would attract. Like I just kind of assumed I would attract mostly female customers. I just assumed that. And I had a ton of guy customers who would come in, and one of them who was like this religiously loyal customer, I asked him, I'm like, Jeff, why is it you bring your car to me versus any of the other shops you could go to? And he said, honestly, it's because when I come here, I don't have to pretend like I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And that was a really powerful statement.
No ego.
Right? Like a dude walking into a dude-owned shop has this feeling like they're supposed to know these things. He's like, I don't know what a ball joint is. I bring it to you so you can fix it. I don't want to pretend to know what I'm talking about. So that was a really powerful thing. Guys don't know about cars any more than women do these days, you know?
It's super not the same. Like, I think our parents' age, roughly, that was kind of a normal thing where, like, it was more common for there to be general knowledge from most guys about cars in a more accurate way, or maybe generally more knowledge. I would say of our generation and later,
totally,
most guys don't know dick about cars at all. And frankly, you know, I think the ego thing becomes a problem is because oftentimes some dudes who either own or run or work at shops judge people for not knowing shit, which frankly to me, it's like, who gives a shit? I don't give a fuck. Like if I don't know about the thing, that a service that I'm going for, I'm expecting you to explain shit to me. That's your fucking job, is tell me so I can understand.
That is one of my biggest gripes. I hear technicians complaining all the time about like, this stupid customer didn't know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you're right. You went to school for a bunch of years and have been working in this field for 20 years. Of course you know more than them. It's not their job to know that.
And guess what, asshole? That's why you get a motherfucking paycheck.
Right.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Can we
Take care
stop
of your
making
customer.
fun of customers, please?
Dude, it's funny. You said that thing about like the dude coming into your shop, and that really, I don't know if resonated with me is the right word, but like that's some legit shit. Like because what it reminded me of is the meme of like a dude or shit technicians would say like, oh, this guy brought his car in because his tire pressure light's on. He doesn't know how to put air in his tire. Well, listen, asshole. First of all, I spent $50,000 here, so y'all can fucking put some air in the tires real quick for me, right? 2, I didn't have $1 worth of fucking quarters to go to the gas station. 3, I don't have a compressor at home.
All those machines are broken anyway. God damn it, they're always fucking broken.
4, what are you gonna do when your fucking computer's broken, asshole? Are you gonna fix it yourself, or are you gonna fucking take it somewhere? What about all the other shit that you don't know how to do that you're gonna have to fucking then pay someone else to do? Now, maybe you're that rare bird fucking Superman that knows everything. Johnny Race Car Dick. Yeah, it's not fucking real. So like, people do, I don't know shit. The amount of shit I don't know is not fathomable by the human mind. And even the stuff I feel like I do, sometimes I feel like I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So a lot of imposter syndrome there, but like, like someone came to you for help. The only reason you are in the spot you are at your job is to solve a fucking problem, to, I don't know, help that person. Yeah, putting air in a tire for a dude that probably should know how to do it fucking sucks. Let me drop some truth on you. There's an SUV parked in my driveway, 2015 Volkswagen Touareg, a car I know very, very well and could fix anything on it. You know what I do? I happily pay my extra $17 and take it to the fucking dealer to get the oil changed. You see a lift right here. It's not that I can't do it. I don't want to.
Yes. The shoemaker's children go without shoes. The mechanic's cars go without service. That is truth. But yeah, no, it drives me crazy. I think it's really frustrating when I hear that from technicians. It's like my number one pet peeve. This is why you have a job. Like, you do what you do. Let's not look down on other people for not knowing stuff. And shoot, I mean, even like the car guys from like the older generation car guys, Die Hard, whatever, you put a modern vehicle in front of them and they're like,
they don't know.
So what's a DMTL pump? What? Right? Like they don't know, and it's not their fault.
Not that I don't know, but what is a DLMT pump for those other guys that don't know what it is?
Diagnostic module tank leakage.
An
LDP, a leak detection pump. Okay, different.
Well, DMTL is the BMW version.
Automotive acronyms.
All I heard was DMT.
Are the worst.
I thought we're getting fucking super fucked up. That's what I thought.
Sorry, no.
Apparently,
DMTL. They don't call it DMTL in Volkswagen land.
LDP pump.
Yeah, it's a leak detection pump, as Paul just called it.
Gotcha. It's in German. It's the diagnostic module tank leakage.
I'm a little disappointed
I don't know.
in Volkswagen now. I'm going to have a conversation with someone that doesn't care about things. I don't know. I probably won't say anything about it. So Bogi, I had this question a while ago, and I feel like this is the standard when you do an interview question, like they ask you, but like, I'm legit curious, and you and I have known each other for many, many years. I consider you a very close friend of mine. You've been to my house, which is not an open invitation for everyone. So when I'm asking this question, like, it's a legit from a place of curiosity.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that I'm right in my mindset with this. You know, when you started in the industry, I think the number of women doing the technician role or any technical role was very, very small. Have you at least seen those numbers grow and find that like there are more women that have found like, hey, I've seen All Girls Garage and here's Bogi on TV fucking rocking it out. I can do that shit too. And because, you know, you've been at the forefront of that where people can see and watch you do shit for a number of years, that you're finally starting to see like women be accepted and those numbers of women like turning wrenches grow?
You know, it depends on what day you ask me. Like there's days where I feel very optimistic about it. And there's days when I feel totally defeated and like all of my efforts and struggles have been for naught because I feel like nothing's changing. From a statistical standpoint, I mean, when I started out in the industry, women made up either 1.6 or 1.8% of all automotive technicians. So very, very small number. We are now up to 2.5. Woohoo!
Okay.
But that's a big increase. I think there's a couple of things. When I came up, there wasn't social media, right? So if there were other women technicians out there, I didn't know about them.
Right.
It wasn't until I probably about 6 years into being a technician that I met and worked with the first other female that I had ever met that did what I did. And it was like a revelation, right? Like, oh my God, there's somebody else like me out there. And so I think social media has definitely increased visibility. And I think we're going to start seeing the trickle effect of that in this next generation. I don't think we're there yet, but I think we're getting there. And there are more shops that are willing to hire women. There are more shops now that are saying like, I would love to hire a woman, or they're actively doing something to hire women. But there are also an equal number of shops who I'm still hearing stories from women. I had a woman on my happy hour just last week. She's a young girl from Canada. She had the same experience looking for her first job. She's 23 years old that I had when I was 23 years old, a long ass time ago, where she would go file an application and they laughed, like literally laughed at her.
Jesus.
Right? A painter friend of mine, she got told point blank, I will never hire a woman to work in my shop. I'm on a forum of shop owners on Facebook, and one of the guys posted at some point, one of the shop owners was like, I've got this female applicant. I've never hired a woman before. I'm curious if anybody's had any experiences with it. And some of the comments were awesome, right? And they were like, does she know how to turn a wrench? That's all that matters. Yeah. Other people were like, yeah, I'm all about supporting on providing opportunities for women. But then there was about like a third of the comments, which were along the lines of, post a picture and we'll tell you if you should hire her.
Well, that doesn't fucking surprise me, because Facebook is literally the fucking toilet of society.
But this is a private group of shop owners, right?
Dude,
and that's still
horseshit.
The mindset. So some days I feel really optimistic. I look at things like, when I tell a 50-year-old man that I'm an auto mechanic, they grab my hands and look for evidence and proof and say, are you really? Or what's a pretty little thing like you doing working on cars? Like,
I get that one too. Like, what's a pretty little
do
thing?
You?
Me
Like, yeah, all the time. All
they look
the time.
at my hands. They know I'm a used to be technician.
It's Bogi. You said like they look at my hands, and I looked at my hands. I'm like, dude, like you're pretty clean today. So
right?
No one would
no,
probably
people will
believe
literally at car shows. They were literally like come up to me without even saying anything and just grab my hands and look at them and say, "Are you really a mechanic?" And while what I really want to do is punch them in the face, I don't. What I do instead is I put my arm around them and I smile real cute and I say, would you ever say that to a guy?
I would say.
And then they feel really sheepish.
I wear gloves, bitch. That's what I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, I tell a 12-year-old boy that I'm an auto mechanic and they're like, cool.
Like it's like it's nothing. Like, of course
like
you are. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't give a shit.
Right. So like that's the stuff that makes me optimistic. So it really depends on the day. Some days I am hopeful and optimistic and believe that there is change happening. And I hope that in some teeny tiny way that I was a part of that, and that the trials and tribulations and struggles that I went through coming up and all the BS that I went through, that was worth it, that it was for a purpose, not just for me to struggle, but for me to help pave the way for others to make it a little easier for them. And then there's days where I want to give it all up because I feel like nothing's changing. So that's the honest truth.
That's tough. And I appreciate the honest truth. When you brought up that shop owner asking, like, what's your hot take on that? I could see that being like, why the fuck would you even ask? Like some of the comments were, can she fix cars? Is she an apprentice? Like, what are you bringing in for? But like, what's your take on even asking that question?
Well, it's like any, and I hesitate to tread here, but it's like any of the isms, right? Sexism, racism, whatever, right? There's degrees of I don't even know, insidiousness, right? Like there's sexism that's naivete, that is, I just have never met a female mechanic. This is new to me. I'm curious, right? which is still sexist, but well-intentioned or not malicious. And then there's the straight up girls don't belong here. You have no right trying to work in a shop.
If you're not in a bikini, I don't want you near my car.
Totally. And I've been 100% of experience both of them. It's an interesting thing. It's that like death by 1,000 paper cuts, though, that sometimes even the less offensive isms are still incredibly difficult to deal with over time and are really challenging. And I feel like the shop owner that asks that question is coming from a well-intentioned place, right? Like he didn't say no right off the bat. He didn't not accept her resume, but he's coming from a place of, I'm a little bit nervous. How is this going to go? Are my guys in the shop going to be okay with it? I just don't know. And that in and of itself is tremendously sexist, but at least it's coming from a more authentic and open to the possibility kind of place. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally like the way I assumed that question was asked is, hey, it's just like any other situation you've never ran into, right? I ran into this situation. I don't know what to do. Has anyone else had this experience? And you think of like all the great things that could happen, right? And this is the same with any technician, all the great things that could happen and all the really fucking terrible things that could happen. And like, where do you navigate yourself in this space? And like, sure, I think we can agree that like the initial thought is I don't give a shit what parts you have if you can fix cars, right?
Right.
Or
that's
whatever.
What it should be, right? My tools don't know that I'm a girl. Your tools don't know that you're a guy. Right?
Well, mine do actually.
Do
Thank you very much.
He's a girl.
They're that smart.
I don't.
You've got smarter tools than I do.
Yeah, I got, I don't know where this is going, but I feel like it's going to go in a bad way if I don't shut up. So
smart man, very smart man.
I actually have an interesting thought. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the guy who asked that question, right? So I agree. It's probably along the lines of the naive, less experienced, trying to test the waters to get a feel for it. I'm putting myself in that guy's shoes, and I'm thinking, okay, I've never had a female technician. Is this going to create challenges within the dynamics that happen within my shop?
Sure.
Knowing, and I know you know this because, obviously you had your shop that was all women, but then before that you worked in shops, and the dynamic of dudes within shops is a different thing. And bringing a woman into that, what is that? A, does that expose me to something? B, is that going to create some dynamics that, and frankly, totally. In my opinion, the biggest thing with that is most people are not equipped to properly manage the things that are then going to happen within the dynamics of the female within a male dominated field of douchebags who do things. Now this dude's outside of his depth in terms of a management ability.
Well, I think he's already outside. If they're coming from that perspective, you're already outside of your depths for your management capacity, because there's two things going on. Like, you haven't managed your team to begin with if you're concerned that putting a woman in the mix is going to be a catastrophic thing, right? Because you haven't trained your male employees to be professionals. And then also, how goddamn insulting is it to your male employees to think that they can't behave themselves with a woman present? If they can't behave themselves with a female technician working alongside them, then they shouldn't be working there, because you have female customers. So give some respect to the men that work for you, and trust in their ability to be decent human beings, because it's insulting to them. I get the perspective, right? It's the concern about lawsuits. It's the concern about harassment. It's the concern about, are the guys going to know how to behave? Or is it going to upset the culture? Or what if she can't handle things? Or, there's so many like,
what if they won't help her? Because obviously then there's the dynamic of, and this is just reality, is on average being a woman means you're not as strong as dudes. So you may need help with something that the other guy may not.
Yeah,
well,
but you know what? I mean, on average, my hands are smaller than yours, which means I can get into places that you can't.
100%. So there's definitely dynamics that benefit, right? No question.
But so it comes down to management, like training your people that everybody brings something different to the table and it's of value and working together. I agree
wholeheartedly with you, but my thing is I'm putting myself in that guy's shoes,
totally.
and I believe that probably more than most is probably, yes, most is probably the word I was searching for. Most of the people who own small shops are probably not equipped to deal with that because it requires a different proficiency in management that I don't think they have.
Hence why I teach shop management classes. I teach shop management classes because I hope that will turn into more opportunities for women.
Yeah. And
both as employees and as consumers. But you're absolutely right. Like, I hear the perspectives. I get it. I understand it. I get the concern. And at the same time, it still is that death by 1,000 paper cuts. It may not be as egregious as somebody laughing in my face when I say I want to be a mechanic. But nonetheless, when I'm
the net result's the same, right?
The net result is the same. Yeah. When I'm sitting in a job interview and you say, but how do you handle the heavy stuff? And I have to be like, the same way everybody else does. I use tools. Like,
yeah.
Well, I don't lift a transmission by myself. I use a tranny jack. What do you do?
That's just such a fucking cop out thing. Cause look, and this is something we would always tell our new technicians, is that like all the guys that work here have worked here before. They did your job. They did this job before you worked here. They don't fucking need you. You, on the other hand, Johnny New Guy, you need the assistance and aid of all your fellow coworkers, whether that be to, hey, can you help me pick this transmission up and put it on the bench? Or, hey, can you hold, right? Like, oftentimes in a shop, you need the assistance of a coworker at some point.
Yeah.
Throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month.
Yeah. No matter how big and burly you are or how smart you are. Sometimes you need an extra set of hands.
The only difference is dudes are probably dumber and more likely to hurt themselves trying to do something.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. Yeah, definite facts there. I also have small hands. And I think I was talking to my wife about this. And like, you know, when I was younger, being short used to really bother me because like everybody makes fun of you because you're short. And like, It took me a while to stop. Literally, like when I say I don't care, I don't think people really understand how literally I do not, like, it is not on my radar. In fact, I have found that being short in the automotive industry is a mega advantage because, yeah, you have to go like this with the lift all the way up, asshole, to work on the car. Meanwhile, I'm just like, yep, working,
right?
Doing my thing.
Totally. Yeah. And there's positions I get myself into working on cars where I'm like,
careful. You're going to start getting those dick pics.
No, but seriously, you know, there's automotive yoga, right? Like you're under the dash trying to get at things. Like I was working on the Volvo the other day and I'm grinding on some spot welds, trying to break them loose. And I was like in the most ridiculous positions, like inside the car, like upside down. I'm like, there's no way that a 6 foot tall dude is doing this. There's just no way, at least not comfortably.
Yeah. So you were comfortable and you took a little nap and like, it's all good.
Well, after like 45 minutes of sitting there, my back didn't want to straighten out again, but I've recovered. Yep. Sometimes getting into the position is one thing, getting out of it is another story.
Dude, especially the older you get, getting out sucks.
Oh, God, please.
Old people
don't remind me. Getting old is a bitch.
Yeah. So I find it interesting is I as you were talking about the percentages and the changes, I was actually thinking what I wonder of any of that, and maybe this is a factor, maybe it's not a factor, is obviously the number of people being funneled towards trades is, I mean, to say it's diminishing is probably an understatement drastically. I mean, I grew up in northeastern New Jersey. You said you were from New York. I don't know whereabouts.
Yeah, we're in New Jersey.
If you're familiar with, there's a town called Pompton Plains. Is where I grew up. Wow, goddamn.
I was born in Queens, but I grew up in Montclair.
Okay, so very close by.
Yeah.
So we're from a very similar area. So I grew up and Montclair is a very bougie place.
Now it is. Wasn't when I was there.
It wasn't quite as bougie then, but it's the place I grew up in was a nice town, whatever. But where I grew up, they canceled all trade school shit, no shop class, no nothing, and 100% of people were being funneled towards college. And
college was the only path to success.
When we were young, you were a fucking loser if you didn't go to college, right?
Oh, totally.
Like, straight up, you're a loser. You're gonna suck at life. Go fuck yourself. Goodbye.
100%.
And
it was just expected to go to college. It wasn't like which college, like if you're going to go to college, it was which college are you going to go to.
Correct. And the fact that you didn't have one, meant that you're a loser. And well, I went to CCM for, well, I didn't really go very often, but so that's why I didn't go very often. But County College of Morris for a short period of time.
Okay.
But that didn't happen for long. But anyway, regardless, side note, I think that is becoming still even further advanced, although a little bit less so. And if you're like an entrepreneur, in the space of like, I'm going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg.
Right.
Like, all right, come on, get fucked, kid. But I still think in the space of trades, there's no funneling happening, especially in places that are very more metropolitan, like where Charles grew up or where we grew up. These are areas that are not funneling people towards trades in any significant way. And I'm wondering the number of women, regardless of that, I think, but even probably with that included, it pushes women even lower down because it's so outside of the norm that
it's interesting. And I think it goes back to what I was saying before about I feel like the change is coming, but it's not here yet. Both with women in the trades as well as the trades in general. I feel like we went through this period, like the pendulum swings societally, right? And I think we went through a definite period of discouraging the trades, and college was the only path to success, and really looking down on the trades. And then I do feel like the shift is happening in the opposite direction now. There's a ton of conversation happening around the trades. There are people talking about the fact that there's more than one path to success. It's a topic that's being discussed now, and I think people are starting to shift their perspective. So I don't think we're there yet, but I think we are coming into a little bit of a shift in perspective about the respect that's given to the different career path options that are out there. I think you're right in a lot of ways, and maybe I'm being stupidly optimistic in my rose-colored glasses. I'm hopeful for the future. I see it like in Phoenix, there's one of the most incredible trade programs. It's a lot of high schools don't have the shop programs in their high school anymore, but the county has these trade programs where you can go to your home school during the day and then go off to one of these professional programs in the afternoon. Their campus looks like a college campus. It is awe-inspiring. The kids are graduating from their welding program at 19 years old, graduating from graduating from high school, ready to make $60,000, $70,000 as a full-time welder, certified, the whole thing. Their automotive shop kids are graduating with the same education that I got from UTI. Like, it's amazing. And I think there's more and more of that popping up. And I think, as silly as it may be, like, you look at like the Mike Rowe kind of thing really brought that conversation back onto the table. And like, let's value the trades. Let's look at this differently than we've done in the past. And maybe college isn't the right answer for everyone. And maybe that's okay. And let's bring back the respect to the trades. I think it's starting to shift. Maybe I'm just wishful thinking, but I don't know.
I am also on I want to believe that it's happening. Whether it actually is or not is kind of to be determined. The interesting thing is going to be a lot of those, white collar jobs that you had to go to college. One, I mean, how many people have you known that went to college, got a bachelor's degree in Dingleberry studies and work retail? Dude, like a ton of people that I worked retail with had college degrees. I'm like, y'all spent like $100,000 and you're making fucking $27,000 a year as a sports authority manager. You're dumb as shit. You're dumb as shit.
Totally. I went to college, and when I went back to my reunion, I was the only one who owned a house and had a 401k and knew like was making decent money, right? Because I was the mechanic.
I love that. But with that, a lot of those jobs are becoming automated. So,
and they can be outsourced.
Automation. I mean, even in our industry, automation and a certain level of outsourcing, and just an overall shift in the dynamic of the car business is going to be fascinating. Horrible for a lot of people in the next 10 years and amazing for a lot of people as well. Wow. It's very like, we're in this really weird next 10 years of fluctuation that is going to bring, and I am usually not a darkness, in my thoughts on this, but there's going to be a lot of pain and suffering for people that aren't expecting it because their job can't be hurt. And there's going to be some amazing, tremendous opportunity for people to fucking dominate if they're in the right position, whether it's a technician and they're super good and they're going to be able to make a shit ton of money and be mad successful, or some other thing that I don't know anything about, so I'll just call it the other thing over there, mad success. But if you're a C-level technician or a B-level technician today, you need to decide what the fuck you're going to do, because in 5 years, you have no job.
Yeah, I it's funny, I was going to bring that up, is I'm wondering how many dealers, when I think about the dynamic that's changing within the market of automotive, I'm wondering how many, and maybe, God, this is probably a topic completely on its own that we could discuss in depth, but with the factory scan tools moving in the direction they are, they hold your fucking hand like you're a 6-year-old diagnosing a car.
Yeah.
How many technicians are going to be, there's going to be like lube tech, A tech.
Yep.
That's
no middle ground.
There
is 100% agree.
No middle ground. You better be a fucking a killer who's able to absolutely crush and diagnose anything you get that gets thrown at your direction, or you're basically just going to be a monkey banging a fucking wrench against a pipe. Like that's it. There's going to be 2 levels, maybe a couple like C-level guys, and that's going to be about it when it comes to cars. EV is going to change the dynamic in terms of serviceability and number of cars requiring service. It's going to drastically reduce that stuff. And that workforce, I have some legitimate concerns about the workforce requirements within the market as things go forward, if they advance diagnostics abilities of computers to hold your hand to a level that eliminates
the need for you to actually know what you're doing on your own.
Eliminates the need for people who kind of know what they're doing. You'll still need people who are a very top tier, A minus, A plus players. Those guys still going to need, because we all know computers can only do so much in terms of actually diagnosing it, because the diagnostic is only as good as the input, but if the input's no good, then the rest of the shit doesn't matter, right? So, but that B tech, he's a useless person now, because now all he's worth is overpaying him, because the C guy can do the same things as him, but he doesn't have the this goddamn whiskey.
Shit's hitting. It do be hitting.
It do be hitting my ability to talk.
Meanwhile, I'm on my second glass and I'm totally fine.
That's hard. Dude, that's hardcore shit.
First of all, I've already had to, just to be clear, I drink very quickly.
I'm still on my first glass, by the way.
I feel like this is another 2-hour-long conversation that we can get into.
So,
right?
so let's do this. If we
shelf
can.
it.
Let's shelve this.
Put a pin in that.
Bogi, I feel like it should go without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. There is an open invitation for you, my friend, to join us whenever you would like, because 1, I love you and you're amazing, and 2, your insight in the industry is incredible and very different from Paul's and from mine. And there's mad value in that. So
I love it.
I think with that conversation, Paul, that let's definitely put that on hold for another day because I have to pee really bad. So that's mostly the reason why.
Real talk right here.
Oh.
Real talk, guys.
Okay, guys, that is an episode. Bogi.
That's how you finish.
That's how you finish. Charles is gonna go pee pee, and that's an episode. Thank you so much, Bogi, for hanging out with us. And
Thank
maybe
you, guys.
next time we'll get in depth on some really nerdy, advanced technician shop futurist stuff.
Let's do it.
Until next time, goodbye.